So hello everyone, and you're very welcome to another Herdwatch webinar. So as you all know, tonight's one is on grass and crops. So myself and James are going to give you a little run through about what grass and crops is and whether it would be of any use to you on your own farm at home. So I'm just going to share my screen here so we can all get started. And James, you might just let me know that you can see that.
I can see it now.
Brilliant. Right, so I have done a few webinars now this year already. Some of you might have been in the last ones, but my name is Katie Shanahan and I am a content marketing executive for Herdwatch. And James, if you'd like to introduce yourself.
Hi everyone, I'm James Greevy. I'm the head of product at Herdwatch, and I haven't done a webinar in a while because they don't let me out that often, so bear with me.
We'll get you there, James. Right, so guys, so this evening we won't try hold you for too long. I know everyone's busy. So over the next 30-40 minutes max, we hope to get it all done in that amount of time. I'm just going to give you a little background on how we came to grass and crops today and what it is really, where you can find it in the Herdwatch app and how you can get it. James then is going to give you all a little demo of the app, just go through the ins and outs of it, the different tools and the different features within it. So if you do have any questions, if they're popping in as we're going, at the top of the screen, you can see the Q&A feature at the top. Just pop them in there. I'll be able to see them and we'll get to them at the end. So no problem to pop them in away as we're going, and we'll make sure to leave some time there at the end to answer all of the questions that you may have. So moving on, so just a quick background really on grass and crops and how we have gotten there today. So since Herdwatch launched in 2014, we have been helping our 20,000 members with herd performance and farm compliance. We launched our first paddocks and sprays module back in 2017 to keep records on everything from spray purchases to lime applications and animal turnouts. So then we released Farm Maps by Herdwatch in 2021 to allow our members to map their farm using satellite imagery, which you can see here in the image on our right. And then since then, our members have mapped over 750,000 acres using Herdwatch. So now, since we have done all of that, we have decided it's time to manage everything from the hooves down, and that's where we came up with grass and crops. So I suppose, what is grass and crops by Herdwatch? So grass and crops by Herdwatch will help our members achieve higher grass and crop yields with less inputs while improving soil health and enhancing biodiversity. Members will be able to digitalize their grass and crop production and soil health data in the simple and easy to use Herdwatch app. You will be provided with science-based decision support tools to optimize the use of on-farm and imported soil nutrients. We like to help our members meet global environmental challenges and always to stay compliant. Manage every aspect of your farm within the one Herdwatch app. So we have the cattle and dairy, the sheep and goats, and the grass and crops. So what you might have previously known as Herdwatch and Flockwatch, we have now just combined everything into the one Herdwatch app, and within that we have the cattle and dairy section, the sheep and goats, and then the new grass and crops. So I'll give you a few of the features that are within the app, and then, like I said, afterwards James is going to give you a demo where you'll be able to actually see what the app looks like and these features in use. So just a few of the features. So we have digital field records in your pocket at all times. You have instant access to easy to use, easy to understand soil health data. You can track NP and K usage at a field level. You can track your fertiliser and your spray costs and usage. Tracking of seeding events, crop health and yields. You have high resolution maps to visualize land management plans. You can maintain chemical and fertilizer records for inspections. and you can create field jobs and reminders for upcoming tasks. So I will now pass you on to James. He is going to share his screen and he will just give you a little demo. But just before that, if you do have the Herdwatch app open on your phones, you can click the little icon on the bottom left-hand corner of your home screen where it says apps. So when you click in there, it'll give you options so you can go into the new grass and crops feature through this section. So before it would have been a slow process going from the Herdwatch to the Flockwatch, whereas now you click that button on the bottom left-hand corner and it can bring you straight into grass and crops, which would be your orange screen here at the top. So I will stop sharing and let James continue there with his demo, just to give you a better understanding.
Thank you, Katie. And can you see my screen now?
I can, yeah.
Deadly. So hi everyone again. So as most of you are familiar with, this is Herdwatch. So I'm just going to show you quickly how to navigate from Herdwatch to the new grass and crops. So go down to our apps button in the bottom left and then just click on the grass and crops button and we're straight in there. I suppose the first thing really is kind of give you an overview of the kind of principles of grass and crops. So what we've always tried to do with Herdwatch and with Flockwatch was give individual animal management. So each animal has an individual record in there and you build up a history of that animal over time. So you can see every time you dose it, weigh it, put it in a group, all that kind of stuff. So essentially you want to do the exact same thing with your fields because every field will have its own history. Generally it stays fairly fixed, bar moving a few fences here and there, but every field should have its own history. And it's very important to make sure you're constantly trying to improve your soil health or maximize your productivity from it. So what I'll just bring in straight away is the map. So if we click on this little map here, bring it straight into my farm map. And unfortunately, our farm doesn't look this perfect and pretty, but this is another nice one. So first of all, these are all my fields. So I can quickly see my fields. I'll just get an overview of the size, whether it's acres or hectares, whatever you use. So that's just a quick overview to see where everyone is. And I actually find this bit of quite handy just to understand the size and make sure I'm putting out the right fertilizer, all that kind of stuff. So then I can just drill into a field here, and each field has a profile. So this is a Brian's Bog. You can see when it was the last sowing date, what the crop was sowed, the area of the field. And I suppose this is where it gets very interesting. You can see, okay, the last sowing date, here's the total number of nitrogen applied to this field year to date. So one of the things we do is fertilizer recording. So we let you record, I applied 2 bags to the acre of 8612, and that will spit out, this is how many kilograms of nitrogen has been applied year to date. So you can be tracking that and make sure that you understand what you're using, what fields are getting the most, what fields are getting the least, and then try to make sure that you're maximizing the productivity from those fields. Or if you're trying to reduce your impact or reduce your fertilizer, you can see that at a field level as well, as opposed to being a kind of a blanket level, which is where a lot of us are at the moment. And then I suppose very important is you can see the soil fertility. So a quick snapshot of my P index. So it's index 1 and for P and K, and a pH of 7. So it probably needs a bit of 0730, and it's good for lime. But if I just go back here to the map view, so what we try to do is simplify all your kind of farm records, and a lot of farmers, myself included, can sometimes find the soil fertility results quite difficult to interpret. So what we try to do is simplify it. So I click up here, the field info. I can view my soil fertility at a map level, and all we simply try to do is kind of a red, amber, green, where red is bad and green is good, to see, okay, what fields need lime in this case, so I can see my pH. So my 2 red ones there are my low pH fields, so they need a shot of lime. Orange is a bit better. I can then view by P index, which gives me the same idea again, and by K index. So I suppose the big thing is most of us do soil testing, or we'll have to do it over the next year or two. But you kind of get the report, you have a scan through it, you have a vague idea of what the good fields are, what the bad fields are, and then you go spreading fertilizer in the spring or the summer. And you kind of just do the same thing you've always done, because you can't really remember what fields needed the most or what your fertilizer plan said. So the whole idea is with Herdwatches and grass and crops now is I'm up in the fertilizer spreader. I spread what I want to spread, but if half the spreader left over with 8 and 6, 12 or 10, 10, 20, and I need to make sure I put that on my low index fields instead of putting it on my high index. because ultimately fertilizer is a very, very expensive input, and you want to make sure you're putting the right fertilizer in the right fields all the time. And that's one of the key ways we want to help save farmers money and be more productive. It's just by a simple thing of giving them access to the right records to make the right decision at that time. So that's the soil fertility. Ultimately, what we do is try to simplify it, and it's what we try to do with everything. And then if I want to view my fertilizer applied, I can actually get a quick overview of how much NP and K have been applied on all my fields. So this actually shows me that I've applied the same level of nitrogen to all my fields. But I can see here this relates to the amount of P that each field has got and K. So again, if you're going out and you want to make sure, okay, all my fields are getting the same level, same application of fertilizer, you might notice that this field up here isn't getting as much as this one, and that's why it's lagging behind. So rather than kind of you sort of tracing back your mind, when was the last time I spread it, what did I put out, you just have those accurate records all the time. That's the big thing, is just making sure your record keeping is accurate, and once it's in digital format, it can be. So that's the fertilizer side of it, which is one of the keystones of it. So then go back to my field here, I can see, okay, sowing date is fertilizer. This is the last fertilizer application date was, which is very handy, particularly from us when you're thinking about cutting silage. You know when your fertilizer is spread, then you know, okay, it needs to be out a certain number of days to make sure all the nitrogen has gone out of it. So it just gives you access to those little simple things, and often it's the simplest parts of it that make it very, very easy to use. And then, like I said, every field has a history. So I can see the last time fertilizer went out, so I went out with 15, 10, 10. When I planted it, I uploaded soil fertility result and I plowed it. So you get that whole history there. And the more records I do, the more information I get in the field. And it's particularly helpful to, I suppose, to larger scale, like arable or tillage farmers, when they've like a lot of different fields and are trying to keep track of, okay, what crop went in last year, the year before, so I can manage my rotations. Because a lot of farmers, whilst they might have very high-tech gear in terms of the GPS units and making sure they plant all the rows in perfect precision, they mightn't have necessarily have the same history of what crops went in what fields and what dates to make sure they're putting the right ones in for subsequent years. So that's what we're trying to do. So that's a little bit on the information side. I'll give you a quick run through of how to record the fertilizers, because obviously that's a very, very important piece, particularly now in Ireland when we have our fertilizer register and everything needs to be tracked. I suppose one key bit of the fertilizer recording within Herdwatch is we kind of use a similar concept of what we do for the medicine cabinet, where essentially you can record your purchases in Herdwatch. So you record when you buy 4 or 5 ton of urea or of spread urea or 18612, and then as you use it, it gets deducted from your cabinet. So this time of year, I think it's in the next couple of days, we need to report to the department how much fertilizer is left in stock. You can just quickly check your Herdwatch fertilizer store, and you see, okay, there should be half ton of 8612, 2 ton of protected urea, and it just makes that side of recording very easy, because it's something that's going to become a bigger pressure. So to record a fertilizer, I suppose we keep the same core principles Herdwatch to record that in. Press your orange plus button in the bottom right here. You got a list of tasks, or I can search above here. Hopefully you're all very familiar with that from Herdwatch or from Flockwatch. I can pick on my fertilizer application. So what it shows me here is my list of all my fields that have been recorded. But if you're just starting off with grass and crops or Herdwatch or Flockwatch, you can quickly add a new field up here. So we let you add a field on the fly. Or I can pick from my farm map as well. So I can just pick my map there. I'll just quickly hide my labels. I say I'm going to apply to this field here. Or I can pick multiple fields if I want. And go on next. So what it's showing me right now is the 18612 I've left in my fertilizer store. But if I don't have anything, or I haven't had a chance to record the purchase, I can go in here and this gives me a list of all the different fertilizers or types of slurry or manure that can be applied. So you can see here I've got cattle slurry applied to the splash plate, dribble bar. So you basically, anytime organic or inorganic manure can be quickly recorded from here. So I'll just pick my 18612 for the crack, I know. So picks today's application date, and we probably shouldn't be applying it on the 10th of October, what I know is. This gives you a breakdown of the nutrients of that fertilizer. So I have 2 ways of picking it. So another thing that's quite handy is if you know in springtime, all right, I'm going to put out fertilizer for silage, first cut silage, I want to put out, say, 80 units of nitrogen per acre. I can go in here and I can pick my unit. So I say units per acre. So you can pick whatever unit that is applicable to your operation. But what I often find confusing is the advice is given in units of nitrogen, and then you buy the fertilizer in tons, and then you have to convert units to whatever kilograms per hectare, and then you have to figure out what the setting on the fertilizer spreader is. So this just takes a little bit of the guesswork out of it. So say I want to spread 80 units there, that then tells me of that field I need to spread in a little over 7 ton of it. So then you know very quickly, okay, am I spreading the right amount? Because I've often been under or over. Or I can pick a total quantity, so I can say I'm actually just spreading 80 kilos over that, and it'll tell me what it is. And then I can say, is it for grazing or is it for silage? What sort of application method I used? What were the ground conditions like? What was the weather? You can say it was kind of overcast. And go save. And then that's recorded. So it quickly tells me that's how many nitrogen was, how many kilograms of nitrogen was applied in it. That's how much phosphorus, and that's how much potassium. And then that just gets linked to the field and builds on the field's history. So that's the fertilizer application. It's very, very straightforward. Same as with Herdwatch or with Herdwatch remedies or Flockwatch remedies. So the whole core of it is we let you record all the bits and pieces you need to record within Herdwatch, but it should feel the exact same as Herdwatch or Flockwatch. I suppose one of the things that's not currently in grass and crops, but will be there for the springtime, is the grass recording. So we're going to enable farmers to record all their grass measurements through grass and crops. And in Ireland, that will get exported to Pasture-Based Ireland in the same way we do that with ICBF or with some of the breed societies in the UK. So I suppose importantly, we're not trying to be pasture-based. We're trying to make the data recording side of farming very, very easy. So if like me as well, you're probably using pasture-based, what I find myself doing is recording the covers and the notes on my phone and then coming back in and having uploaded from the PC. So what we're going to do is make it very, very easy for you to record your grass covers in Herdwatch as you're walking on the farm. And then that will automatically upload to pasture-based for you. So if you're in a derogation, you'll be compliant with them, as long as you get your 20 covers in a year. Or if you just want to, just do it for the sake of grassland management, you can still record your Herdwatch and that'll be uploaded for you. So that's what we're trying to do ultimately, is take the double recording out of farming and just make those little jobs simpler. So that's kind of the high level on grass and crops. Ultimately, you can record everything from your sowing, from your spraying to your tilling, to your planting, harvesting. You record harvesting yields, fertilizer usage, as I said, went through. Anything that can be recorded to a field, you can record through grass and crops, and we're building that on that over time. So where we want to get to with this is to ultimately help farmers make decisions about what's the right fertilizer to use for those fields based on what I want to achieve. So if I'm a tillage farmer and I want to get a certain yield here, and this is my soil health, soil fertility, here's the amount of NP and K I need to apply. That's the journey we're starting to go on. We're probably a little bit away from that, but that's what we want to help farmers do, just make the best use of fertilizer they can and try to save money first of all, and then make a bit extra where possible. So thank you for that, Hanno. That's my quick overview of grass and crops.
Brilliant. So do you want to stop sharing there again, James, and we'll just move on to, I know you've answered probably a lot of the questions that are coming in, but guys, if you do have questions, start popping them in there to the Q&A section there at the top or bottom of your screen, depending on what you're viewing it on. We have a few coming in already, but we'll try and fly through as many as possible, but obviously we won't get through them all, guys, but if you do have any questions in relation to it, you can still pop them in through the message feature in your Herdwatch app, and someone in the team will get back to you over the next few days if we don't get to any of them today. But let's try to pick out some of the most popular ones anyway to begin. So again, James, you probably answered some of them, but there seem to be duplicates coming in, so there's no harm going over them again. So Miriam asked, will this link up with the fertilizer register?
So at the moment, there is no way of linking up with the fertilizer register, but you will be able to see your stock, as long as you're recording stock, how much stock is left in Herdwatch, which then you can just quickly update into onto AgFood to be compliant there. As soon as there is a way of us uploading that, we'll have a way of you sending that information to them.
Brilliant. Thanks, Miriam, for that. John asked, does it matter who I get my soil test done with?
No, not at all. We don't care where the soil tests come from. At the moment, you have to manually upload them into Herdwatch. It is a bit of a job of work. Look, it takes probably could take half an hour to an hour, depending on how much soil testing you've done. But generally it lasts for 3 years. So once you have it done. Hopefully over the next year we'll have a way of automatically importing them from the labs as well. That's something that we're looking into. We're probably 6 months to a year from that. So please just upload them manually for now. And the next time you go soil testing, you hopefully won't have the same job to go through.
Brilliant. Thanks, James. There's 2 questions here similar, so we might link them up. So Mick and Kevin asked, so the first part, will it link with pasture base? And then the second part is, I'm already on pasture base. What's better about this?
So the first one is, yes, it will, where we'll be sending the data over to them in the same way you interact with you record serves and Herdwatch, and it goes to ICBF for you. We'll be saying record your grass measurement through Herdwatch, and once permissioned, it'll go to pasture base for you. I suppose the big thing is we're not trying to be a pasture base. What we find is a lot of farmers are already recording this in Herdwatch, want to record this in Herdwatch, and if you're happily using that product, then I'd advise you keep using it. But what we want farmers to do is to just basically, if they're not recording or they find it very difficult to record, that's what we're there for. We always try to bring farmers from pen and paper to a digital system. We're not trying to convert farmers from who are already happily using a digital system. That's great. A lot of them end up coming to us. So hopefully it should be a lot easier just to record your grass recording as you're walking the fields, and just have it automatically upload. So when you sit down to actually make decisions around what am I going to do around grazing management, am I going to feed more meal, am I going to take more bales out, that's how you use pasture base. We don't see ourselves probably doing that side of things. So we want to simplify actually recording the grass itself, because we find that's the difficult part for a lot of farmers.
Brilliant. Thanks, James. Ray asked, can anyone see my fertiliser records?
No, as with all data you record in Herdwatch, you own it. It's yours. We're just minding it for you when you're with us. And I suppose that's a very important thing. Like, everything you record in Herdwatch is yours. The only stuff that gets shared is stuff that you explicitly say, I want to share my calf registration with the department or my breeding records with ICBF. It's always in the hands of the farmer. They control who they share their information with.
Brilliant, thanks. So Joe asked a few questions, but let's try combine them into one. So it's mainly about recording tasks. So how do I record harrowing, topping, rolling, and recording bales of hay being made on fields?
So on the harrowing, there's a general task of cultivation where you can record on cultivating and you can select the implement you used. Topping, there's a general record. So if you say general paddock node, you see topping and rolling are drop down within that. And harvesting is actually a separate task then for recording harvesting, whether it's harvesting of bales or as of a crop. Allow you to record a total number of bales or tons of whatever he took off the field.
Yeah, brilliant. Matthew asked, how easy is it to split fields between crops and then recombine them, and for this to show in year by year crop history?
So to split fields between crops, so are you talking about sowing a different crop one year after the other, or creating a subfield within it? So changing the crop year after year is very easy. We probably won't be doing split crops within fields for a period of time, because it adds a lot of complexity. In that instance, what I would be advising doing is just having 2 separate fields.
Yeah.
So whatever, like, the fields are very much, it's a bit like a group. If you say, okay, this left half of the field is going to be in wheat and the right half is going to be in something else, then I'd record them as, big field A, big field B kind of thing, and have the history that way.
Perfect. Let's go down. There's loads of questions coming in, so I'm trying to pick we won't be able to get all of them tonight. Okay, yeah, so probably a common one here coming in. So is this separate from the farm maps that's already on the home screen, so say of your Herdwatch app?
No, back to, I suppose, Katie's point earlier on. So the farm maps is the bedrock of it. So we've just built on top of farm maps. So when you click on farm maps, it'll actually bring you into the grass and crops section now. So you'll basically have any of your maps that are already there, your history and your field history that you already recorded. We're just layering on more, I suppose, more features and more value on top of what was already there.
Brilliant. Are crop sales recorded? That's not on there from Matthew.
Yes, I believe they are. If they're not recorded right now, they will be in the very near future.
Brilliant. I think that's John asked, can you map buffer streamside zones?
You can, but not in a way that is not, I suppose, no, not really at the moment. Look, it's something we'll be bringing in more kind of map features. So little things like, points of interest, whether it's something like a crow banger in a field or like, having those sort of areas within fields that are separated off, where they can't spread fertilizer in them, or their buffer zone, or they're, high biodiversity, that we will be bringing that in at some point next year as well, where you can have that extra layers on top of it, and within the field, that's where the GPS spreader knows to switch off. But we don't have that particular type of what's called a map layer yet.
Yeah, perfect. I'm conscious about the time. I know we're getting close to the end of it. We've answered about 95% of the questions that have come in. If there's some we haven't answered, make sure to pop them into the message feature on the bottom hand menu of your Herdwatch app, and someone will get back to you tomorrow. So I suppose just quickly, I want to mention we have a giveaway currently running. So this image was shared across socials and it was emailed out over the last few days. So basically everything in the picture there is in the giveaway. So we have the Farmer Phil hoodies, Sheep Game hoodies, Herdwatch merch. You get a pro subscription for a year. You get either a calving, lambing kit, and then we're also sending out some Herdwatch calf jackets as well. So all you have to do to be in a chance of winning this combined giveaway is simply to download the Herdwatch app and put in a verifiable herd or holding number. And obviously for a majority of you here, you already have the Herdwatch app. So all you have to do is create any sort of record for the month of October. So any record at all. It could be your new field record now that you're going to do once you get grassing crops. So any record at all, and you're in the draw automatically for this giveaway. So that's currently running. So best of luck with that. And that brings us to the end of our webinar. So we will be sending this out via email throughout this week. We'll make sure you'll be able to get the recording. Obviously, you can watch it back. Any questions, do get them into us. Thank you, James, for doing lovely co-host position. I think you should come back again for more webinars with me. And thank you everyone for joining, and we hope you learned all there is to know about the new Grass and Crops app, and we'll talk to you soon. So thanks, guys.
Thanks, Katie. Thanks, everyone. Bye now.
Bye.